Okay, hi everyone. So today in this video, I'd like to discuss how do we read a text for, doing kind of philological learning. And what are our goals? This is on this channel, our goals for language learning are a little bit different. They're more historical, and we want to know the grammar. We want to know the vocabulary, and not in a kind of instrumental way just to know how to communicate, but to really understand the language that's used in historical documents, historical writing, and literature. So first thing I'll say, is what we'll cover in this video today. It'll be first of what tools you need. That's not super complicated. And then what do we do when we sit down with our text and try to work on it. So now the first thing you'll need is a text of some kind. And I have an Ottoman Turkish one today, but this is meant to be for any language. It could be whatever you're interested in, basically. You might want to start with something well known that has a lot of kind of maybe articles about it, so you can read what it's basically about. What I have in front of me is one of the very important early Ottoman chronicles. This is Mehmed Neshri's Kitab-i Cihan Numa, and this is a critical edition published in 1949. Very good edition. The Turk Tariq Kurumu publishes quite good editions of texts like this. This is a critical edition, so they've gone through the different manuscripts and kind of noted the differences. That's very important if you're doing a critical edition of a manuscript text. But at any rate, you need some kind of text. Maybe you want to dive straight into a manuscript if that's the kind of thing you're interested in, or maybe if it's just a European language, something that's interesting, or a Latin text that's been published a bunch of times. Anyway, something that you can access. I would say starting out having something that's known, well known, is good. But anyway, so we need our text. The second thing is to write physical writing. This is very important. So even if we have our text on a computer or a tablet, having a notebook and pen or pencil, whatever you like, is very important. I would say if you just make notes on your laptop, you're probably not going to internalize as much as you think. And also because the act of writing is physical and helps us, kind of fix things in our mind. So, notebook, loose leaf paper, or like today I've got this printed out, so I'm just going to make notes on the paper, whatever. You can get too sucked into like some specific type of note taking or whatever. That I see things like this on YouTube. That's not important. You can get too caught up in that. Just doing some kind of physical writing. The only thing I would say is I personally have started, I have a few colored pencils in my bag that, I've got like a red, blue, and green that, maybe if I want to mark things with different colors, or like here we have a title, so maybe I would mark that in red just to know that's the title for ease when I go back to my notes. But anyway, it's a detail. You don't have to do that. It's just something that you might find useful. The other thing that we want to have is a physical, real dictionary. We want to have a real dictionary, and that's important for a few reasons. So when we open a real dictionary, especially if it's a very good one, very comprehensive one, so Red House is for Ottoman Turkish, is the best dictionary, I think, for Turkish English. But if, maybe it's the Hans Ver, if you're working with Arabic or, any other languages, having that, having the like a deep L or Google Translate can be good for, if you need to look up something quickly, but I wouldn't count on it primarily, not because the definitions are bad necessarily, but it's not really doing the same thing as a dictionary. It's going to give you, in a lot of cases, like the fastest, sort of most functional translation. And maybe you want that, that's okay. But, when we go through this, we probably want to try to figure out the range of meanings for each word, and we want to look up every single word. So now let's get into what do we actually do here once we've got our text, right? So we want to look up every single word in the dictionary, and what we want to do is start with, identifying. So I've already marked this up a little bit from earlier takes, but let's say we're okay. We've done a little bit with grammar. We've got a grammar book. We've been through that, or we had some kind of instruction, and now we're going to sit down and start reading, right? So maybe there's words we already know, but what we want to do is, whatever language you're working on, you want to find the verb or whatever forms the predicate. So in Turkish, for example, Turkic languages, you don't have say like I am, that's a suffix that's attached to a noun, or this is a dur, which means is. So is, this is the is ending. So anyway, whatever verbal component of the sentence, and then we stop there. And then in our notebook, or in this case, what we would do is, we're going to write out, the definition of everything, and then put each part together. Now that sounds laborious, but this is how you learn, okay, especially for something like this. So as we're working through this, okay, I know Evlad means sons. Oğuzhan, that's a proper name, so we don't need to look that up unless you want to, because sometimes names can be very important. And proper titles, Khan in English, it's a proper title. Maybe we want to look that up if we wanted to. I'm not going to do that here, and then, okay, and this one, okay, I don't know what this means. So this would be where I'd go to my dictionary. I already did, but open the dictionary up. We're going to look at this, and this means like, we're going to make a note of it, right? So relations, kin, I think it could also mean ancestors. Relatives. Okay, so we've got our note there. Okay, and then if we know, okay, this is the, this denotes possession. So the sons of Oğuzhan and the relations of Oğuzhan and, okay, Beyan. All right, don't know what that means. Now let's say I just want to start reading this. So, okay, I don't know what that means. I can't find it in the dictionary right now. I could find it in reality, but for the sake of this exercise, let's just say, okay, I don't know what that means. So let's just stop and, all right, so it's something to do with Oğuzhan's sons or his progeny. I think that's another way you could translate this, and his kin or relations or relatives or something. Okay, so, all right, now we kind of know what's going on here, right? So it's something about that. Okay, so here, all right, so we're going to look Tevari, Mutarda, okay, and if we've done our grammar work, we know, okay, this is the locative case. This means in, on, at. Okay, that's a verb, right? Okay, so then we would look up every single word, and then we would go back and try to translate this. So let's go to, got my dictionary off to the side. I'm going to open this up and muhtar, whoops. So we're going to look up muhtar. Okay, so that means chosen, elected, something like that. Okay, so in the and then we'd make a note right off to the side, maybe, or we'll put it here. So it's something like in the chosen history. Now, again, this is like a rough translation. We're just trying to understand what it says at first. We're trying to understand what all the words mean or could mean. Okay, we're just going to say, okay, in the chosen history, and then it is, it is in the chosen history. Okay, that's our first clause, right? And then we're just going to do the same thing for every single sentence, and break it down by clause or part of speech. And that's kind of going to depend on what language that we're working on. Now, it's a little bit easier to do this in Turkic and to a certain extent Hungarian, because you have a case system. You can kind of like doing algebra. You can sort of break up each component and then reassemble it when you do the translation. That's not possible for every language, but that's one way to do it. Okay, so let's say we read on. All right, here's a good example. So we've got, right, so we know this is the dative case, to something, for something, and in Turkish this is a like a buffer consonant. This is for the. This is plural. So for their kings, Hakan is said, or they say Hakan to their kings, right? Again, the point is just we're trying to figure out what it says, what it could say. Or Hakan, they say Hakan to their kings. I think that's what that means. All right. And then we just keep going through the whole thing kind of like that. We just pick our way through. We look every word up. And then, we go through and assemble some kind of translation. If we're just learning, we're doing this to understand what's going on. And then hopefully, ideally, we would have some kind of instructor or a tutor we could go to help us work through this. I'm not really a big advocate of or a believer, I guess, in someone who's just a pure autodidact. They can just learn everything on their own. They can just go to the library, get all the books, read them. At some point you're going to need someone there to instruct you in some way and correct mistakes, or explain what you need to be doing, and in a way that's kind of specific to what you are doing, not something that you could just get from books or YouTube videos or something like that. You kind of do need that level of personal interaction. So that's what ideally would happen. But if you don't have that, this is kind of how you do it. You just go through every word, look every word up, make notes, make very meticulous notes, and then try to assemble it into a translation. And that will help you interpret the text and understand it. Is this a quick method? Is this going to get you to learn a language in a year? No. We're doing this knowing that this is part of a lifetime project. This is a project for personal growth, for deep learning, not instrumental learning. We're just doing this because we like this. This is interesting, maybe the subject matter is interesting, or maybe, you just think linguistically it's interesting, whatever. We're doing this for that reason. I think that's all I have for this subject. I might do a better kind of tutorial like this, maybe with a different language or something, or maybe I'll do something that's for studying Ottoman Turkish, like walking through the grammar, using this, but this is meant to be kind of a generalizable sort of thing of what to do. And if there's anything that I would just emphasize is physical writing, and physical notes, whatever, pen, pencil, colored pencil in a notebook or on loose leaf paper, doesn't matter, just some kind of physical writing. And I think that's really the most important thing, because that helps you internalize it, helps you learn, and all that. So, okay, so thank you for watching. Thank you all for the kind comments. I hope this was helpful, and I will talk to you all in the next video, hoping to try to cover maybe Uzbek. I have been reading about Tajik and Hazaragi and some of the other Afghan languages that might be interesting to cover, historically. But anyway, that's all I've got for now. I'll talk to you in the next video, and have a nice day, nice evening, wherever you are. Görüşürüz.